Good evening, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to Cambodia Global Dialogue, Southeast Asia TV. Tonight, I have the pleasure to have two friends, and we're thinking about talking more about entrepreneurship again, but more in the context of innovation. Particularly, the Royal Government of Cambodia just launched the next 5-year, sort of like a we call the rectangular strategy, but in fact it's the next 5-year planning on how the government see the future Cambodia in terms of development prospect. And in there's a clear reference about innovation, it's about technology, it's all about building the capacity of entrepreneurship so that we can compete in the region. So I have tonight, Sok Piseth, who is the CEO of GEN-Cambodia, but you used to be the president of the Young Entrepreneur Association, right?
Yes, no.
Great. And David is a regular here. You're a consultant. But anyway, I let Piseth introduce yourself a bit, so that people know who you are, what you did before, and what you're doing now.
I am currently the CEO of GEN-Cambodia, and I am also the immediate past president of Young Entrepreneur Association Cambodia. I have led the association for 4 years, in 2013 up to last year is the end of my term, and it gave me opportunity to have a lot of work dialogue with government and also support the entrepreneur and work internationally with other developing partner on the context of the development and the movement of the young entrepreneur into the global stage and the trend of the business. So this is give me a lot of good experience in the last 4 years, and also a challenge. So
how about your company? What do you do now? What does GEN-Cambodia does?
GEN-Cambodia have been found 7 years back since 2011.
Okay.
So we start with a small company as a distributor of mobile phone of LG Electronics.
Yes.
Later on, because of best performance of our team and our companies, we have been expanding the business to be the full range and to be a strategic partners of LG Electronics from Korea. And currently, we the main distributor and the strategic partner of LG, distribute the whole range of consumer electronics of LG.
Oh, cool.
And also the commercial aircon.
Wow.
And also we also the partner with Hyundai Elevators. So one part of the company is about trading and retail of consumer electronics. Another part of the company is MEP services. It's about the installation of electrical in the building, commercial aircon in the building, plumbing, and LV system.
Wow.
So this is all we have been served for the development of the growth of the construction.
Cool.
Yes.
Cool. David, you're a bit everywhere, no?
Well, my name is David Van, and I primarily specialize in government relations for multinationals in Cambodia, helping sort of a multinational travel along the path of how to deal with specific line ministries, how to provide input into any legislation that may impact upon their operations in Cambodia. But recently also I kind of also specialize in promoting public-private partnership for clients, multinational, together with donors like UNDP and specific line ministries.
Okay. So it's isn't it a bit innovative per se?
Innovative, yes and no. In fact, the public-private partnership has already been quite encapsulated into the government policies. So the trick is, how do we go about implementing that? Public-private partnership, PPP, sound very sexy, but it's always very difficult to get a model that is so-called sustainable and successful. So in Cambodia, we start small first, and when you start small, you give high visibility, and then people start to come in and want to join because of the snowball effect.
Well, David, I think what you're working on more the sort of like very high level UN multinational sort of thing. I get back to you later, but I want to start a bit small, okay? I want to start something more, the level of Cambodian, you know, we are rising, you know, 20 years, building the economy, the rise of entrepreneurship, and you said you're a good example on how a young entrepreneur 7 years ago, you start small and now you become a strategic partner with a multinational. It's interesting, right? Yeah. So you're moving up the rank. How do you see, of course, you know, with the track record that you have the last 6-7 years, and knowing how the Cambodian economy, the dynamics of the population, that sort of thing, how do you see the next 5 years in terms of business, entrepreneurship? How do you see that?
I am very positive in the next 5 years of the growth of Cambodia. And in the last 7 years, if we compare last 7 years until now, wow, a big change. I remember the first time I told LG how they can sell and how they can promote their product at that time is you have to teach the people to use the smartphone, because even the seller, they don't know how to use it. But now you cannot imagine that everyone uses smartphone as their daily life. The smartphone have been a complement to the daily life in terms of the business, in terms of social life, in terms of connect in the family. So it is how technology work in the fundamental of the last 7 years until now. But in the next 5 years, you can see the rectangular strategies force a coincident with the industrial.
Thank you for mentioning that.
Industrial development. Industrial development 4.0, which is we talk about digitization, how we can use digitization to support the infrastructure and the best of the business growth. So I believe in the next 5 years, most companies will grow fast, and some company as conventional might be disrupted because they cannot move on to the digital world. So I think the new trend of new opportunity of a young entrepreneur and youth also will coming up because of a support ecosystem and platform, not only local but also in the regional as a whole, in the context of Asian and sub-regional in GMS. So I can see the future of the 4 years. It will be in the next 5 years. It will be the most digitization infrastructures. Okay. Yeah.
But from your multinational perspective, seeing Cambodia, we're a small economy as compared to Vietnam, Thailand, who are much bigger economy. How do you see digitization? How do you see innovation helping us catching up with the neighbor?
Well, innovation is all about, first of all, thinking outside the box.
Okay.
Like to be more creative, to be more proactive. And this is something that multinational, they are quite good at.
Yeah.
And this is something that we here locally, in the local context, we need to tap into their kind of knowledge and expertise to help us grow to the next level.
Yeah.
Because today we live in the digital era where the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, Industry 4.0, which is again, like Piseth mentioned, was captured into the rectangle strategy number 4, which the government is committed to produce a conducive environment for digital economy promotion and also to help promote local entrepreneurship. So the point is, how do we then create our own ecosystem? And what Piseth mentioned with his experience with the LG company, you cannot just come and wait for the market to grow. You need to create the ecosystem and grow your own market. Like you said, they were training people how to use smartphone, the vendors. So this is how do you start?
So speaking of ecosystem, I mean, said you are in the electronics, you all these appliances, the aircon. There's a lot to do with technology. In terms of telecom, right? We are now what 4.5 now?
Yes.
4.5. I think the world already talking about 5.0, right?
Yeah.
To me, correct me if I'm wrong because I'm not an IT guy, but I think 5G is not just a 5G, it's an ecosystem in itself, no? Because you have the Internet of Things, you have digitization, you have so many different things. You think in the next 5 years we can get to 5G?
I think yes. I think Cambodia is a country that adopts technology very fast.
Okay.
So we have submarine cable connected, which is a very strong infrastructures that can help the ecosystem of the digitization. So the connectivity is not about the road anymore. If you talk in this context of digitization, it's about digital infrastructures. So I think 5G or 4G is a matter of speed, how you connect each others, and one you can connect, one you can work on the cloud basis, and then your work will be more efficient. You don't have to go to office all the time. You can monitor all your job done based on your single phones, and of course, even the phone itself, it can categorize the important thing through the digitization. So you can imagine that all this some tough even take months for people to do it, but it's just a click that you can get everything done.
Yes. Interesting.
Yeah, especially in the last 1 year after we have benchmark of some analysis using the tool of technologies, we can understand more of what our consumer, what is our market, and then our forecast supply chain, so it can match very well.
The analytics, as they call, right? Yeah. The analytics. Where are we on the, so like, what you call that? The data, what you call it?
Big data.
The big data? Is that big data we're talking about here?
Well, big data exists everywhere, but the difficulty part is how do you then use big data and have a very specific analysis in order to craft out certain companies' strategies or even government policies.
Okay.
So I believe innovation is all part of the whole ecosystem surrounding big data. If you don't know how to use big data, you get yourself overloaded with so many things, and you get confused.
All right, so we're going to stop there. When I come back, I want to tackle the very thing that you mentioned, if you don't know how to. So if you don't know how to, how do we know how to? We're going to come back to that one. David, capacity building is everything.
Yes.
You know, technology is one thing, money is one thing. You have the money, you can buy technology, but what you're going to do with the technology if you don't know how. So how do you see the capacity building in this country? And you mentioned conducive environment in the rectangular strategy 4. Can you elaborate a bit how from your private sector perspective, you see things happening, and perhaps also something from the UN perspective also?
Well, maybe to demonstrate this point very clearly, if I may quote the current public-private partnership that I've established between, say, UNDP, a client, Grab, ride-hailing people, and the Ministry of Public Works and Transport.
Yes.
Within that context, coming back to big data, Grab is a company that has fleets of so many cars, tuk-tuk and motorcycle all over the ASEAN market. And so every car or every vehicle in their platform is equipped like a GPS system. So they know where the car is, and this is how they can help governments in Philippines and Malaysia using all this big data analysis, helping the government to then craft out proper policies in terms of traffic management. They know then what are the peak hours traveling, what are the areas where it's prone for accident, what are the areas that have road imperfection. So all this is how do you then pick up the big data analysis and then make use of the data.
But does the Cambodia now have the capacity to do all that thing?
Then again, it's part of the project of PPP. So Grab and UNDP will then use this platform to help build capacity within the Ministry of Public Works and Transport, the Land Transport Department people, so that you have to teach them how to first analyze the data. And then from the data analysis, how do we then craft out the policy related to that?
Well, said more on something a bit more concrete, because I like what David said, but sometimes it's so much up there, you know, that it's a very specialized field. Let's face it. Let's come down on earth, on something that I probably can understand. You have now, you're a strategic partner of LG Electronics, covering so many different aspects of their product nationwide. What do you see the capacity now in terms of having good people that can understand, they can install, they can mount, they can explain, they can service, all that? How far have we come in terms of building the capacity of a young Cambodian?
For me, by daily work operation, we can see our people can capable well on this field now. Our new engineers who working in the new industry. For example, like my companies, we have a lot of engineers. Of course, when they graduate from Techno, when you graduate from Cosma, take some training, of course they have a fundamental how they do it. But when it comes to technologies, we just train them, we just couple them in, plug in, and then they can catch very fast. I think this is about how we can give opportunities, how we know what to complement with them, so that we can do together.
Yes.
So now my team, for example, like your question you asked, like how the thing is of the new technology digitization. Now we have one project together. So we have VRF system, which is a system aircon for the whole building.
Okay.
So now we try to put the IoT device in the
What is IoT? Internet of Things.
Internet of Things. So we put
Speak English now.
the IoTs in the device. So before we used to get a call when they have problem.
Yes.
But in the near futures, if this have been completely executed, our team will know before the customers. So when it have a problem, whatever, the signal will send to the central. Central will monitor that where is the problem. So we can send a team there. So this project is ongoing. It's gonna launch by this quarter 4.
Wow.
But first pilot project around 20 sites that we have been doing with the LGs to test the project on the IoT device in order to serve our customer more.
Well, I mean, so what you're telling me is, so Cambodia, it's much far more advanced than I thought, right? Because we always think 4.0 is always the German Siemens technology, you know, in a big manufacturing facility somewhere in Zurich or something. But here you're talking about stuff that installed in a commercial building in Phnom Penh.
Right.
IoT can attach to everything. And I believe some country even challenge because they are already in a big industrial when they execute infrastructure of the digitization costs a lot of money. IoT is not something that you think it always big, but it's something even a small thing you can also do. Last 2 years we have problem that in our server room that always have sometimes the server room you just put it and put the aircon, and sometimes the aircon is not work, and then you don't know the server is heat. But last 2 years we put the IoT in that room. So when the increase the temperature, they send alert to the system, so the system can tell you, oh, something wrong. You have to send people in order to check. So something like this, even it is a small thing.
Oh wow!
And IoT even can apply to the retail. For example, you have 40,000 price tag on the shelf. So IoT can apply just click. So you put a price list, you put into the system. When you change the price, when you have promotion, you just click all the digital pricing, you change it with 1 minute.
Wow.
So this is how technology gonna work.
Is it applied already in Cambodia?
It have one stores already applies, and that is a mobile company from abroad. But my company also now try to test it that price tag as well.
Wow.
Because this is if we don't do this, it's challenging. Sometimes we use the people, we use a conventional way, we change the price. We send that to every branches of retail stores, and retail store have to tie it and print it out. Which is take longer time. But if for example, imagine if you have 10 store you promotion on 3 days, so you spend how many days backward that you have to prepare all this. So this just example how technology is going to work in the near future. We cannot be in, of course, some country they already apply for the call center, for example. So for example, you call and then, or you chatting, you don't know you chat with the machine. Wow. That is a big data. So last few months, I went to Australia for the Singularities workshop conference.
What is Singularity? What is that?
It's talk about technology. It's a platform of internationally. So one lab in US, they testing the big data. So one guy fall in love with the chatting. They chat, and then
my God.
with 30 minutes, the machine respond them everything. Like you respond
like
with
a human being.
Yeah, human being. So that is a challenging.
Wow.
And also now
you may fall in love with a robot.
Yeah. Of course, and they don't know, and it is a lab for testing, and
wow.
So that is how it can help, how it's dangerous, and because now even technology can replicate your voice.
Amazing.
Yeah, can replicate your voice.
Yeah.
So in the future, it is amazing. That's why one part of the infrastructure that we need as well for Cambodia is about cybersecurity. How we can protect all this in our countries. Because
I'm pretty sure that this term of the Royal Government, the cyber law will come out. This is very important because cybersecurity is what we call the non-traditional threat, which is very dangerous. Before we know the traditional threat, right? Yeah. Somebody break in your house, somebody mug you, whatever. Now it's worse. People hacking. They stole all your money, that sort of thing. This is very important. Stolen identity is also another issue.
Because now, in Cambodia now somehow they already pilot the smart home. You can control the door opening. You can hear the ring while you are at office or while you are abroad, and you can see who come to your house, and then you can open the door gate.
Wow.
So the mobile phone already. So
it's amazing.
That is how technology works. So that's why cybersecurity is important. If they can hack to your system, meaning they can open the house, they can open the door. So that is actually.
David, when we talk about innovation, what comes to mind a lot is about people keep throwing this coin word like financial fintech, right? What else?
Innovation, like I said, in the digital economy is all about robotics, it's all about Internet of Things. So today you have a lot of things like edutech on education, fintech on financial, property tech on real estate, even medicine tech.
I can tell you something else. We even have peace tech.
Oh.
Peace?
Yes.
And I said, what is peace tech? They said, well, when they explained, I said, well, this is how peace tech work, right? You have a GIS. The global information. What's the satellite system? What they find you.
The GPS thing.
The GPS, yeah. The GPS. They say, well, how does it work for peace tech? They say, mapping for thousands of years, the military have used map as the basis for their warfare, right?
Right.
Now we can use map to help prevent life. To know when the area prone to earthquake, hurricane, how difficult the terrain, so that they can move the relief service, that sort of thing. It's unbelievable. We have something we call peace tech. So tell me about fintech, Bitcoin, that sort of thing. These are all innovation, right?
Fintech, a very concrete example, like in China. Nowadays in China, people make do in the daily life with basically cashless. You look at the WeChat system.
You're right.
QR code payment.
Yeah.
In China today, people go to see a movie.
Yeah.
They pay with a phone.
Yes.
People buy groceries. They pay with a phone.
Yeah.
People order a taxi, a ride. They also pay with a phone. So this is one aspect of fintech. The other aspect is also what we call the blockchain.
But wait. I went to Eon Mall too.
Right.
The other day. They have Pay, right?
Yes.
So people are using Pay now.
Right.
So something similar.
This is part of all this e-payment sort of thing.
All right.
Right. Okay. So blockchain is another innovation technology that used to decentralize entirely everything. Blockchain can be applied in medical sector, in financial sector, in education sector, in all kind of sector, because it is a system that decentralizes the data transferring and also allow and prevent tampering of the data once it's been entered into the system.
Yeah, okay. We'll take a break, and when we come back, I want to focus more on transaction, but more on e-commerce, because I see the next 5 years, we have to diversify our economy. We have to explore more the potential of e-commerce. And let's talk about the giant in the region, Alibaba. Okay. David, I understand one of your people that you work with are involved in e-commerce. The Ministry of Public Work and Transport are planning to do event on e-commerce, logistics, that sort of thing, hard logistics, soft logistics. I want to maybe address first to Piseth from his entrepreneur perspective, because a lot of your peers in the Young Entrepreneur Association. I'm pretty sure many of them are very savvy into the e-commerce. What do you see in the prospect of e-commerce for Cambodia?
E-commerce, I think it's a modern ways of retail business. It's a modern way of retail business. So
only for retail?
Retail, of course, a commercial as well as a wholesale. But e-commerce itself is a futures.
Okay.
Some country, the conventional retail have been disrupted. For example, Toys R Us in the US have been filed bankruptcies because of.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Interesting. It many years it come. So, e-commerce for Cambodia, I think, is a matter of time. When it's gonna happen, and infrastructure how to support, because now we don't have an e-commerce law, so some is still challenging on the especially when we have a dispute.
Yes.
How we can solve all the because our government don't recognize the digital signatures in the e-commerce is not yet announced. So that is the key, and another infrastructure is how the product got to put on sale on the e-commerce and then have been delivered to that. Now we have some small e-commerce that been executed nowadays. Some
very
people
local.
Very low one, and they based on cash on delivery, so that they can they can get cash immediately.
It's a form of micro.
And another challenge in the transition time of the e-commerce, I think, it's a good way for Cambodia, but also in the transition time, also challenging of who gonna be first as well. Because once you be in e-commerce, you have to be more transparent, compliant, because everything on digital, everyone can track you.
Yes.
But we still in the business that currently still have the unfair competition among the supplies. Plus
tax payment, like unfair competition in that sense.
Payment, smuggling product so that is the key challenge.
So
of
e-commerce could help that then. Are you
e-commerce,
saying that?
Of course, because once the e-commerce have been up and running, full, and then people can track. You cannot lie on the system, right?
True,
so when you lie, you change. You cannot. And this is a modern ways of doing it. Like
Go ahead.
And another one is we have to be careful of the international e-commerce as well, because somehow our conventional retail, which is do conventional way of doing business, they cannot move to e-commerce. They might need a platform that they can sell the product as well in the e-commerce. That is something that we have to think of. And secondly, how we can protect the e-commerce that, for example, people buy the product in, buy the pay, the tag this and there, and cost of their overhead costs locally. But some people just order from US, some people order from the other abroad, and they can capture in and from the e-commerce.
I think Seth, you touch a good point that we've been working on the e-commerce draft law for a long time. Way before when I was in Ministry of Commerce, and I went to Geneva and come back, so it's still there. Hopefully for this year or next year, hopefully we'll see the light of that. But basically the issue that you raised, the challenge is about dispute settlement, right? Because in our civil code, which is now in force, evidence. What does the court accept as evidence?
Yes.
And e-commerce is basically a contract law in cyberspace.
Yes. Right.
You know, it's like I place order, you deliver, but what happened if you don't deliver? What happened if you deliver something I didn't order that did not meet my specification? You know, I tried to sue you, but wait a minute, how do the court recognize my email? You know, I send order to you, you went on vacation, it stayed on your inbox, you never open, 2 weeks later you open, but I'm so tired of waiting, I order from somebody else. You say, well, now the shipment is gone already to your place, I need a payment. We say, how can I pay? You didn't reply. All this is all about, you know, transaction.
Yes.
So I think it's because about 4 years ago, I was asked by the minister of the senior minister of commerce at that time to help finalize a draft, and basically that's how I explained to them. It's a contract in cyberspace.
Yes.
So I hope we will get that in place. So let me recap. Cybersecurity is very important. A good sound legal framework is very important. Transparency can take place. It can help fair competition among business with the advent of this e-commerce. Very good. Suggestion. David, what do you think of that?
Maybe I just want to pick up where Piseth was mentioning and follow up. It's all about creating an ecosystem, and which one of my client, Alibaba Logistics, has been doing that.
Yes.
You know, like 15 years ago in China, e-commerce did not exist, but they were a lot more proactive. They went ahead and again teach the local merchant, big and small, how to use e-commerce, how to use technology as a platform to sell China to global and to order global to China. This is how they actually create an ecosystem and promote and grow the market.
It was more a trade matter.
Correct.
Before they even call E, right? It was a mechanism to promote trade.
Yes. So
traditional trade.
You have to create the demand.
Okay.
So that people then hire you for your services.
Okay.
This is exactly the system that they want to now implement in Southeast Asia, starting with Cambodia.
Yeah.
When we talk about e-commerce, he mentioned just now that it's primarily domestic. In Cambodia, Laos and Myanmar is the same. Now the e-commerce, the things that you order online is somebody from here order in bulk from say Thailand, bring it here, and then they just start selling on social media, and they deliver to your door and you pay.
Yeah.
But that is very limited.
Yeah.
So what this Alibaba want is to come here and again implement the same methodology, is to teach our local MSME how to sell online, so that they can go Cambodia to global, and how then to facilitate for them to also order global to Cambodia. So you have to create the ecosystem in order to expand.
So David, this don't you think this is an opportunity for Cambodia to partner with them, public-private sector, international partnership, to position Cambodia as the hub in the sub-region? Why not?
Maybe.
What does it take to get it happen?
Maybe I would jump the gun by saying that yes, that's precisely the idea. That is in the pipeline.
All right.
It's sort of a next PPP thing is to have one of these big company, Alibaba, to come here, use Cambodia as a regional hub, consolidate their cargo here, and then redispatch out because of the strategic location of Cambodia within the mainland Southeast Asia eventually.
Oh, good. So I think that there's a good prospect, and e-commerce is definitely there. You mentioned about fintech. In the area of education, I'm quite keen, right? Our youth now are so tech savvy, and information is on the tip, of hand now. I mean, with the device that you have, everybody have it. How can we use technology to help move up the capacity of our youth, so that they can, catch up with the neighbor? We're in ASEAN, for that matter. ASEAN Economic Community. We are in fact, promoting, Cambodia as much as ASEAN,
Right.
To have a piece of the pie of the world market share.
Again, is another project I'm working on with is on edutech.
Okay.
Like you said,
Yes.
Today the education system we have is very traditional, very conservative, and it does not respond to the need of the rapidly advancing
yes.
and changing environment. So what we have today is a lot of manpower that do not necessarily possess the required skills
Yes,
demand
yes.
from private sector.
Yes.
So there's a system where you can train our local manpower in very specific thing, like you can train an electrician
Yes.
through online training,
Okay.
and then with sort of virtual lab
Okay.
to then give him the right credential, which can be then verified by that particular educational platform.
Okay,
And immediately you have somebody who is credible and skilled in that particular area.
Wow. Okay. Wow. So this is another area. So I think we're running out of time. That's a problem. Perhaps I could say that in the area of innovation, not many people in the world, they always think of Cambodia as a small country, war-torn, genocide, landmine, insecurity, that sort of thing. But that was 20, 30 years ago.
Right.
Now, people now start to recognize Cambodia as a pioneer in the WTO, right? In trade. We are a success story in the preservation of our seven wonder world. Angkor Wat, for example, the private here. UNESCO lists many world heritage. There are 1,200 world heritage lists in UNESCO. Cambodia have only now 3, right? Private here,
and
Sambor Prekup. But according to our archaeologists, we have another 1,200 throughout the country that are considered as not listed yet,
potential,
but have the potential to be listed. So the image of Cambodia is beginning to be transformed, right? The new generation that Piseth you mentioned, we are transforming also the image, the landscape of the country.
Right.
In sport, we used to win only with petong, right? And the sharpshooting there. But now we start to winning in taekwondo, in jiu-jitsu, in karate, in jet ski, football. We start to be in there. So I think we're coming a long way. So to me, how do we now capture the fourth industrial revolution? Innovation, fintech, edutech, peacetech, to catapult a country to the next step. So anyway, David, I want to say thank you for coming and share such an interesting topic. Good luck for your company.
Thank you.
And I hope your company will thrive to great height and hire more Cambodians.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think we're coming to the end of the program, and there's nothing else for me to wrap up. I just did. So I just hope that a young entrepreneur, a young Cambodian scientist, software engineer, or educational practitioner, they start to appreciate more the power of innovation, how their knowledge could transform this country. It could help this country, position itself in the context of ASEAN, in the context of the world. But ultimately, how to put Cambodia in a new light. Not a Cambodia of the genocide, not a Cambodia of the landmine, but a Cambodia of thriving economy. So on that note, good night.